Well, welcome back to our class assignment. This is the opportunity now that you're going to get now to basically paint your vision by taking everything that you've learned in this class and really going out there and creating something magical. So this is your opportunity now. What I've done with this assignment is I've actually divided into two tasks, and each task is going to basically focus on lighting and a different technique that we discussed in the lessons that we've just had. So our first task is going to be exposing for skin tones in different aspects of light. Now remember in lesson 2 in Getting Creative, we discussed all those different aspects of light: side lighting, rim lighting, translucency. So we're going to be capitalizing on that. So your first mission is going to be to compose and capture 3 images. Now the first image is going to be utilizing side lighting. The second one is rim lighting. And then the third one is translucency. Okay? Side lighting, rim lighting, and translucency. And then if you do have a reflector, as we discussed in our class, please by all means use that reflector, and it'll allow you to become a bit more creative in the images that you are going to be capturing. The elements that we're going to also inculcate is what we discussed, the different compositional elements that will help to lead our viewer to our subject. Remember, we looked at leading lines, symmetry, and diagonal lines, and repetition. So for this task also, utilize at least one compositional element, or even if you can, a combination of elements, which is going to really create a beautiful, powerful composition. So I encourage you to do that. The challenge that's going to come with this task is going to be this: to avoid over and under exposure of the skin tones. Remember, we are focusing on exposing correctly for skin tones. So avoid that, and also to make sure that you capture also detail when you take these shots. And then please avoid silhouetting. With this task, we don't want any silhouetting right now. And then the second point there is your background must retain and maximize the warm golden colors of golden hour. So that's going to be your challenge for this task. Your second task is going to be creating silhouette. And you can have a lot of fun with this, creating silhouette. So yeah, I want you to compose and capture 2 images creating a silhouette. The technique that you're going to be using is what we discussed in lesson 2 for correct exposure and focus, while retaining the warm natural golden hues that are going to be ambiently around your subject, or maybe even in the background. Your challenge here is going to be that your subject must be blacked out. It must be a beautiful, clear silhouette image. Okay? And your second point there is to make sure that your image or your subject is clearly defined. So in other words, the limbs or the different objects that they touch in or they attach to, remember what we discussed, those all need to be clearly discernible, so to make sure that this composition is beautiful. And then I've added something extra in here: write your story. Now basically, I just want to encourage you there to share with us, when did you capture these images? Were you utilizing morning golden hour or late afternoon golden hour? I want to hear about that. And then I want to hear really what inspired you to create these compositions or to capture these compositions. I'd really like to hear your thoughts there. And optional, if you can, share your camera settings with us. It's always good to consider these, especially when you're sharing this knowledge with others. Now, my tip to you is this: that for both of these tasks, you need to go back, as we say, and look at the lessons that we discussed. Getting Creative, lesson 2, composition guidelines in lesson 4, and camera settings in lesson 5. Go back there and consider the techniques that we used or that we spoke about and utilize this in this assignment. Now, requirements for both tasks is that, first of all, I'd like to see you use both formats, both vertical format as well as horizontal format when you take these photos. So that is something that you need to consider. And then again, all the images must accentuate or emphasize the subject while retaining and maximizing the use of the golden colors in golden hour. And then again, just a reminder, we're going to be using here the compositional rule, the rule of thirds, in order to just help you get your subject placement and also to get your balance in your scenario and in your frame of your camera itself. And then third of all, don't forget to post your images in the project gallery. We're really looking forward to seeing those images. Now, the equipment that we're going to be using here, the class we have basically been focusing on the use of a DSLR that can shoot in manual mode and allow you full creative power with your photography. And your second piece of equipment there, if you are shooting your images in low light, don't forget to take your tripod. And then third of all, a little reminder again, a reflector. If you do have a reflector, put that in your kit bag, take that with you and utilize that when you are looking at your exposure for your on your subject. But all the details will be posted in the project description, so you can go back there and just consider that again. So yes, don't forget to have fun while creating your vision. We're looking forward to seeing those images. I'll see you shortly in my last lesson, final notes. See you soon.